The bullet rips through the muscles in my leg and I realize that his shot wasn't intended to kill me. They would never let me die that easily. They still need to burn me after all. I collapse immediately and the book flies from my hand. I reach to get it, but the officer retrieves it before I can crawl over. No! I scream, reaching for him. Give it back, you thief! You won't need this book at the institution, Mallory Carson. I doubt you will be given new privileges anytime soon after putting this little stunt. This book is mine. Give it back or else. Officer barks out a laugh. Or else what? You have nothing over me, Miss Carson. He opens the book, my book, and glances at the first page. His cuffs flipping through other pages. I sigh in relief when he fails to look at the very last one. I should have written in it tons, just like Mother told me. I curse myself for forgetting. This isn't even in English, he exclaims, throwing the book on the ground away from me. I scream, a raw, guttural sound, and use every bit of strength I have left to grab his ankle and yank, causing him to lose balance and fall. I just need to hold it. If it's not in my hands as I die, the words will be lost in a world full of people blind to the message. The tradition will have failed, with no one left to carry it. The weight of that responsibility weighs impossibly heavy on my shoulders, making it even harder to crawl over to the deep green covered book on the floor. The officer is quickly getting back on his feet. I'm so close to it, my fingers almost touching its binding. I just need to hold it, then I can reach for the knife in my pocket. Once I have it in my grasp, I can slit my own throat. I'm so close. What are you doing here so late? I ask the girl, leading her inside. She looks at me shyly, hands clasped behind her. I could ask you the same thing. Her voice is smooth and light, almost childlike. It echoes in my ear and I shiver. I work here, I explain after taking a moment to regain my composure. I took the night shift. Well, the girl laughs, a light, lilting sound that seems to reverberate off of every wall. Aren't I so lucky then? I gulp. She moves towards the front desk where I was just seated. Her movements are graceful, impossibly mesmerizing. What's your name? I ask, trying to be polite. Mal, she responds, not looking my way. She looks down to the countertop where I set down the mysterious handwritten book I was reading. What's this? She inquires, and I shake myself out of my haze to walk up next to her. When I get close, I feel a chill that I previously thought was the outside air. Maybe that's a draft. I found it in the pile of books to throw away. I explain, and the corners of the girl's lips tuck downwards. Thrown away? Mel asks, her voice becoming sad. She picks up the book, lightly stroking the book with her finger, tracing the swirls and design of the gold border. Why would anyone throw away such a pretty book? She whispers harshly. I don't know, I stutter. I took it out just now. So you have read it? Mel questions, still whispering chillingly, but her voice becoming soft again. Well, all of the pages are written in another language, except for the last one, but it's unfinished. She flips to the last page and runs her fingers gently over the words written in ink. I study her face. She looks forlorn. Oh yes, I remember. The officer scrambles to his feet and kicks the book away from my reaching hand, then stomps on my fingers with a heavy boot. I shriek and pull my hand close. That should teach you a lesson, girl. He booms and I continue to scream. The officer's face contorts with rage and he covers his ears. Shut up, would you? He yells, but I don't listen to him. Finally, he pulls out handcuffs. I'm taking you back to that loony bin where you belong. The officer roars. He reaches to grab me, but I roll away. I fumble in my pocket to find the cold blade I brought. I look the officer dead in the eye as I stop screaming briefly, just to inhale. I ignore my raw throat. It won't matter soon anyways. I squeeze louder than I ever have before as I slice my throat smoothly with the blade. My veils turn to gurgles as the blood fills my throat. And I drop, bleeding out in the history section of the library. Fitting, I think, as I die, that my end will be written in the blood on the floors, right next to the history of everything else. It makes me feel important as it's come to the darkness, not the light, as many have claimed, because I know I'm not going there. Not yet. Not until my job is done. Have you read this before? I ask, trying my hardest not to let my voice tremble. Oh darling, Mulcoos, reaching over to run a finger along my jawline. You don't get it, do you? She turns back to the book, then hands it to me, still open to the last page. Although I'm confused, I take it from her slender hand. She smiles sweetly and leans down until her face is near the book. She inhales and blows lightly on the page. Her breath blows away a fine coating of powder on the bottom of the page. Under the dust is the name written in sloppy letters. Mallory Garson. Mallory Garson! I say aloud, now looking up from the page. Isn't that the crazy girl who died here in the 60s? The girl didn't respond, but I still don't look up. I'm too deep in thought. Mallory Garson. Mallory. Mel. The glide of metal catches my eye and I finally lift my head. Mallory Garson holds a knife above my head, her face contoured in twisted rage. Before I even have time to yell for help, she has reached around me and plunged her knife into my back. Pulling us close together, Mallory leans in, now only inches away from my face. I gasp and sputter, and she twists the knife slowly in my back, ripping at the flesh around the wound. I groan painfully, but am unable to speak. The pain is so agonizing my brain doesn't even seem to comprehend it. I feel Mallory's cold, lifeless breath on my cheek, which are becoming damp with miserable tears. Mallory hushes me gently. Don't worry, my dear. Your death will be an honorable one. I slide to the ground, unable to stand any longer. Mal slides down with me, cradling me in her arms, holding the book to my chest. She leans close, her ice cold lips brushing my ear as she whispers into it. You'll keep the tradition alive.